What's happening, people? What's going on? Listen, I know I was just about to say I'm in a good mood, but I just looked out my window and it's raining. But first and foremost, big up to everybody in the chat. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you lot can hear me. I hope the HD is HDing right now, because you know what? I've been shamed a bit about the quality of the streams, so I invested in a bit of 1080p. I went and did it just because, you guys were kind of getting onto me for it. But first and foremost, big up to everybody in the chat. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good Thursday. For those of you that are fasting, I hope you're having a good fast. Not long left. I think it's only like 4 or 5 fasts left of the month. So I hope you are all doing well. Firstly, I know United are playing today, and I know United are playing Chelsea. And it's just going to be a smelly game. It's just going to be a stinky one. But hopefully it'll be 3 points. It's been a minute since I've actually done a proper stream. I've just been unfortunately busy. And, with Ramadan, it's quite difficult to stream because my schedule's all over the place. And by the time I got time to stream, i.e. later in the evening, I'm just tired. So I can't be asked. So big up to everybody for sticking through on this Ramadan journey that has been. Big up to you guys, because I've been so inconsistent with the streams. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Dropped a vlog today, so be sure to check that out later on if you haven't. But let's get into it. Firstly, how are you lot all doing? I hope you're all doing well. Of course, we're gonna have a post-match reaction as well after this. We're gonna have we're gonna chop it up after the game. Hopefully there will be something to talk about in it, because the last thing I want to do is come here at 10 p.m. in the night and have nothing to talk about. But when I say that, let me just say, United, don't stress us out. Like, when I say I want something to talk about, I want good things to talk about. I want to see some light at the end of the tunnel. I don't want to come here and complain, because I feel like that's all we've been doing this season. Can I just say, though, off the back of that, I cannot wait for the end of the season. Like, I'm ready for the season to end, guys. No joke. I'm ready for football to just go. I'm ready for Euros. I'm just ready to see the back of the Premier League right now. I'm ready to see that this season has just been horrendous for United. It's been so bad, and of course it's not getting better because of all these injuries. And we're going to talk about that as well, because I said this months ago when Lisandro Martinez went out again injured back in, like, I think it was January or beginning of Feb, I think it was. When he got injured again, I said that United have nothing to play for in the season bar FA Cup. And FA Cup is a cup run, in it. You can do without your most needed player for a couple of games. And I said I'd rather he just stays out and just gets fit and don't rush him back. And that's been my biggest issue, I guess, with this season, is that players are just always getting rushed back from injury. And even if they don't get rushed back and they slowly come back, they get injured again after 1 or 2, 3 games, because of, most of the time, I feel like his minutes mismanaged. I genuinely feel like the time for players who are injured, I feel like their time is mismanaged. Luke Shaw is a perfect example of that. He was out injured, came back, and he literally played like 5 or 6 games on the bounce, 18, 90 minutes per game after just coming back from an injury. That's not necessary. And I know United kind of drawing the short straw, because there's not much squad depth, but it's a bit worrying that players are just dropping like flies. And I'm going to talk about Erik Ten Hag's pre-match comments. Of course, the embargoed part of the press conference came out today, so he had some stuff to say. Obviously, a lot of it was about Mason Mount. I saw a nice little, I'm not even going to say nice, I saw a little PR piece for Mason Mount talking about his love for Chelsea and how he didn't want to leave, and he went to United for whatever that nonsense is. I just saw quotes. I didn't even read the article because it's given PR. But I'm not going to be too harsh on Mason Mount, because he's a player that's not really had much time to kind of get integrated into the team, because he's been struggling with injuries. So my issue anyway with that, you lot know, is that United should never have brought him with his injury problems, because it looks like maybe he's just come in and poisoned everyone. Maybe he's come in and poisoned everybody with his injury crisis, and he's just sprinkled it around the dressing room, because it cannot be, guys, that United's, especially defenders, just fall like flies non-stop. Like, every so often, players come back from injury, another set of defenders go out injured. Then they come back, then another set go out. it's impossible at this point. It's impossible to even have a run of games with a backline, a consistent backline. I think the most consistent players this season has been Diogo Dalot and Bruno Fernandes. Probably the only players that haven't missed anything due to like injury or whatever. But big up to everyone in the chat. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Let's go. We're going to start with the pre-match comments from Erik Ten Hag. He was, of course, asked about, the intensity of training. And this is not the first time I would say that we've heard that players are finding the training sessions a bit intense under Erik Ten Hag. I mean, previously they were laid back under previous managers, and now they're saying it's a bit intense. I've been saying for time that I think that the training sessions is probably the most worrisome for where all the injuries are coming from. I felt like that is where maybe that was where the issue was coming from, in terms of, especially at the beginning of the season, when players looked tired, when players looked, fatigued. So early into the season, I knew it. I knew it had to do with training. And obviously there's rumors about players finding the sessions too intense and feeling like they're doing too much in the training sessions pre-game. And I was always under the impression, now I'm no professional footballer. I've never worked in a professional club like Manchester United in such capacity. But I did think, from what I've previously read and watched, especially about other clubs, is that teams don't do intense sessions a day before a game. But United apparently do intense sessions, training sessions. I always thought that before a game, like the day before a game, you have a light gym session, followed by, tactical breakdowns, that kind of stuff, where you'd be in a room with a screen, all of that kind of stuff, watching tape, watching footage. I didn't think the day before a game you'd be running around intensely on the training in the training ground. But it seems like United's been doing that. Now, Ten Hag was asked about that, and he said, no, we don't train hard. Clearly we don't train hard because we're crap. But he said, we don't train too hard. We need to be fit. With the standard in this league, you need to be fit. Otherwise, you can't match the standards you are required in a game. We don't train too hard. I find it kind of funny, actually, that Erik Ten Hag repeats the same thing twice. Like, it's like he wants to believe what he's saying as well, so as much as he wants the audience to. So he says it twice. We don't train too hard. He said it twice in this particular question. And then he was asked about the fact that United don't have a fitness coach. And he said, well, we have good departments. We have good people around with a lot of knowledge. Based on data, we make decisions. Now, I don't know how United don't have a fitness coach. That kind of blows my mind a little bit. But United are the same people that, the medical staff are not even doing their job properly. They're telling the manager one thing when the reality could be something else. But that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird for United not to have a fitness coach. And then he went on to talk about, the number of games that United have been playing, etc. He said, I know that it still has an effect. The huge amount of games we had in the last 18 months, that still has an impact on our squad, the accumulation on the players. He then went on to say, you need very robust players. That is the requirement. When you go into Christmas with many injuries, then you have to bring them back. But when they are free from injury, they are not match fit. I don't even know what the hell that means. I'm not being funny, guys. What does that mean? What is he trying to say? Is he trying to say that, from what I'm gauging from what he's saying, that United have had a lot of injuries going into the Christmas period, especially in that run of games, and then had injuries, and then you're kind of forced to bring them back. And when they are free from injury, i.e. not playing, but they're not injured, they're not match fit. I don't know what that is I don't know what he's alluding to. Anyways, he then went on to say, the injured players are not straight back into form. They also need a couple of games before you get back into a rhythm. It still has an impact. And this is what I don't get. This is probably the biggest part for me that kind of stuck out for me from his press conference, is that he openly accepts and admits that players cannot get straight into form coming off the back of an injury. So why do we throw players back in urgently or immediately when you are accepting that they are not match fit? Anybody could have said, I genuinely think you don't have to be a genius. Lisandro Martinez should not have come back. Lisandro Martinez should not have come back because he was He was not match fit. He hasn't been match fit. He had a few sessions at training before he actually came back, before he started to play again. A few sessions. You know, Luke Shaw, when he got injured before he got injured, sorry, he had a few sessions, and then bam, back into the squad. If it's Lindelof coming back from injury or whoever it is coming back from injury, they will have 1 or 2 sessions, training sessions, and then they just get thrown back in. I don't think Lisandro Martinez needed to play on the weekend. I'll be honest. I don't think he needed to. United are running thin in midfield, in defense, sorry. But even when he played, I'll be very honest, guys. I'm sorry to say this, because last year I thought Lisandro Martinez was our player of the season. Like, I thought he was our signing of the season last year. But this year, when I've watched him come back from injury, he looks like he's lost a step. And that's no criticism on him. That is no criticism on the way that he plays. That's, to me, the kind of idea, like, you know, when you get injured and you've kind of lost your rhythm and you've lost your step and you just get thrown back into a highly competitive, intense game, you are going to look like you've lost a step or two. And that's not me saying that Lisandro Martinez is washed. I'm not saying that. But I could see it against Brentford that he looked like he was missing he was missing a little bit. He was missing a little bit. Leach got injured in training the next day. Even if he got injured in training the next day, should he have played against Brentford? That's my question. That's my question, is should he have played against Brentford? I don't think so. But I think the manager's desperate to have his best players available. And he's in a position where he will play the best players available to him. And you know what? Who was it? I can't remember. I was watching something. Oh my God, what was I watching? Crap. I was watching something. I can't remember what it was. And it was a player talking about how nowadays players don't want to play through injury. Whereas back in the days, players were happy to put their body on the line, and, basically ruin their body at the expense of getting 3 points or getting a victory for their manager. And that is, by the way, I can't remember what video it was, but it was basically alluding. It's ex-players. I can't remember. It was a podcast or something. But they were talking about how nowadays players want to take care of themselves, and, they will call in, like they will say that they're sick or they're not well, so that they don't play. Whereas back in the day, players would, play with a broken foot. Like, they would just take injections. Like, I'm being hypothetical, but, to an extent, them kind of injuries, they take injections to force themselves to play. And I feel like a lot of that is also down to the manager. These were back in, I'm talking about Sir Alex Ferguson's days. Players were willing to kind of run through a brick wall for him because of the relationship they had with him, the kind of manager he was. Like, I think Sir Alex Ferguson was a manager. Eric Ten Hag is not a manager. And let me just say, there's a difference for me between managers and coaches. Some people are coaches, but they're not managers. And some people are managers and they're coaches. Does that make sense? Managers, I think, like it says it in the name, managers manage everything from, the integration of the academy to the recruitment process, to the transfers, to the first team, all of that kind of stuff. And a good manager is someone who's capable of managing and coaching. But unfortunately, in this day and age that we live in, them kind of managers don't really, like, I would say, yeah, they're not really around like that. Maybe I would say Pep. Ten Hag, I think Ten Hag has shown us that he's not like a manager. He cannot be responsible for the recruitment and driving the transfer policy and all of that kind of stuff. He can't do that because he's failed at it. He's not been good at it. But is he a good coach? I don't doubt that he's a good coach. But I do feel like maybe his philosophy and the style that he wants to play, maybe it's not working. But anyway, let's get back into the comments for him from Eric Ten Hag pre-game. He talked a bit about overloading in terms of players being, run into the ground with the number of games. But this is what stuck out for me the most. He said, you see, this weekend, Man City was playing without Kyle Walker and without John Stones. You see, the levels were dropping without them. There was a different team to what we faced. This is that to me, honestly, that is delusion. And I say this all the time. Eric Ten Hag is quite delusional sometimes. But to me, that's a wild statement to say. To say that their standards and their levels dropped without Kyle Walker and John Stones. That game was a snooze fest. Why is it that they bopped Villa yesterday without Haaland, without Kevin De Bruyne? You're not talking about levels dropping there when their best forward players are out. How can you mention your defense? He mentions Kyle Walker and John Stones as if Arsenal did anything attacking wise to threaten City. That was the most boring game that I've watched all season. Like, wallahi, like Burnley versus Luton was better. Burnley versus Luton was better than that. But to me, that is honestly delusion from Erik Ten Hag to say that, you know, their standards drop in comparison to the team that we played a couple of weeks before that. That's ridiculous. Anyways, a lot of the comments, by the way, seem to be about injuries. A lot of it seemed to be about injuries. He did talk about Mason Mount. He said, I don't think they, i.e. Chelsea, wanted to sell him. They wanted to keep him, and they even offered him a new contract many times. He spoke about his goal and, you know, how good it was. He was saying maybe it not being the winner was such a small amount, but for a player who came in and suffered so many injuries and worked so hard all the time and had many setbacks, it was so frustrating. He then went on to say about Mason Mount, he wanted to make the step, and we are here. I'm very pleased he is a Manchester United player because he has great abilities. I'm sure he will contribute, and I'm sure he will become a big player for Man United. Now, the only thing I can say about Mason Mount is I don't know where he fits into Manchester United without Bruno Fernandes being dropped. I do not know where he fits into Manchester United, because for me, I don't want him in that deeper 8 role. You lot already know my stance. I want a Yusuf Fofana. I want a Amadou Onana. I want a beast next to Kobbie Mainoo in that 6. And I think that 8 role is for Kobbie. So where does Mason Mount fit into Manchester United? Is Mason Mount the eventual replacement in 10 for Bruno Fernandes? Because I saw Bruno did an interview a couple of weeks back, and he was saying, you know, later in his career, he can see him going into that more deeper role because, you know, he might not be able to keep up the intensity that's required to play in the 10. Now, if that means that Mason Mount is the future of that 10, I will be very interested to see how he gets integrated into the team next season, because this year for him it's a write-off. And you know what, guys, I don't really want to say it, but this kind of Mason Mount reminds me, and let me land, Mason Mount's situation here reminds me of Jadon Sancho's one when he first came in, because Jadon Sancho came in with high hopes. Like, everyone was gassed that he came in, and he came in and kind of came into a shit show, excuse my language, but he came into a crap environment. A manager getting sacked, you know, a temporary manager, caretaker in, all of that kind of stuff. So his development was kind of delayed when it came to Manchester United. Whereas Mason Mount, his development has been delayed off of the back of his own reasons, i.e. injuries. So he's coming fresh slate into a new team, a new manager, new philosophy, and his development has been delayed. Well, I'm not going to say development because he's already developed. His integration has been delayed because of his own misfortunes, which is injuries. Whereas Jadon Sancho's integration was kind of delayed because of the misfortunes of the club. That's why I'm saying it kind of reminds me of that. Now, obviously, Mason Mount, nowhere near in terms of the high hopes that people had for Jadon Sancho. A lot of people, I think, was more so against the idea of Mason Mount coming to Manchester United. But this kind of further confirms to me that Mason Mount, Erik Ten Hag wanted him. Erik Ten Hag wanted him because he's riding out for him. He's riding out for him. Anyways, I'm going to go on. I'm going to wrap this up before we kind of start previewing the actual game later on today, which is going to be, I'm not looking forward to it. He went on to say, I have high standards. No, you don't. And I would be disappointed if we didn't qualify for the Champions League. I know it would be very difficult because we are not in a good position. Whose fault is that? We want to win every game. That is the standard we have here amongst each other. We will keep going and keep believing in those standards. That will be the approach in every game. We will keep fighting until the end. I know we're not in a good position and we have to catch up. Also, I know we have had a lot of problems. So I'm a realistic man also. I don't think you're that realistic. In a competition that is so competitive and the teams are close, you need the players to be available. You have to make compromises. Your levels will drop and you will drop points. He then went on to say, if you play in a consistent teams, your levels will go up. When you bring in the best players in your squad, you will collect more points, and that is a fact. So I'll be realistic, but nevertheless, I'll keep fighting in every game, and I will demand a win in every game because we are Manchester United and we have to win every game. Now, I don't doubt, and I say this all the time, by the way, big up to everyone in the chat, be sure to hit the like button. I say this all the time. I don't doubt that Ten Hag sets Manchester United up all the time to win. Like, I say this all the time. Like, even when I speak, when we debate it, I always say I don't think he's that evil to set United up to lose. He's been failed a lot of times by his players, and a perfect example is that Brentford game. But it's been quite evident throughout the entire season that when United can score a goal, they will concede. I don't think United will comfortably hold on to a lead. Like, we had a 2-goal lead in the Champions League. Who was it against? Copenhagen, I think it was. And we lost. Like, United have never comfortably held on to a lead against anybody this season. So it's quite naive to say that I think it's quite naive to be like, we try to win every game and we go in to win every game. But that these players are not capable of holding on to the lead if they have it. So in my opinion, what he says is just the right stuff. He's always saying the right stuff, and I respect him for that, because he's not going to come out and throw his players under the bus. He's not going to come out and be like Rashford's ass. He's not going to be like McTominay this. But one thing I have realized, though, is that Rasmus Højlund was pretty much non-existent against Brentford, but I don't think it's his fault. I genuinely think Rasmus Højlund cannot play the way that he wants to play and the way that he's been playing in this calendar year. He cannot play like that if Scott McTominay is playing. If Scott McTominay is playing, he cannot play the way that he wants to play. And the reason why is because Scott McTominay operates and for some reason runs into the channels and the spaces that Rasmus Højlund should be occupying. The spaces that you want your 9 to occupy, Scott McTominay is there all the time. And Rasmus Højlund, and I say this all the time, Rasmus Højlund and Scott McTominay cannot coexist in the starting 11 without one of them falling off. And for me, Scott McTominay is one of those players you bring on for fresh legs 80 minutes into a game when you're 3-1 up, just to see the game out. Now, the mentality issue at United is a whole nother issue. That's a whole nother problem. And unfortunately, Scott McTominay falls under that because he's part of the team this season. But Scott McTominay should not be starting, and not at the expense of Rasmus Højlund's, purpose that he's serving in the team. And if we go back and watch like the games throughout this season, especially the games of McTominay starting with Rasmus Højlund, those are the games where Rasmus Højlund has been non-existent. And when I'm saying non-existent, I'm talking about, in front of goal, in the box, getting opportunities, etc. He's been non-existent. So if today I see McTominay on the score sheet, just know Højlund ain't doing anything. Just know Højlund ain't doing anything. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into that. For me, before we even talk about predictions and starting lineups and all of that kind of stuff, nothing less than, I don't want anything less than 3 points. If United come with a point from Stamford Bridge, not good enough. Not good enough, because I cannot take them seriously in terms of competing for, how could you want a Champions League? How do you want Champions League football next year and you cannot get the results when you should be getting them? Like, Spurs dropped points. And either way, to be honest, guys, I've been saying all the time, for me, I just see every game as it comes. I don't want to be like, oh, we're going to finish top 4. Oh, we're going to finish top 5. I've been saying this from time and time again. Let's just see every game as it comes. Because I didn't think we'd drop points against Fulham. But we did in February. I didn't think that we would have a 4-3 thriller against Wolves. And our goal difference would not be any different. But we did. Today, I just want 3 points. That's it. Nothing less than 3 points. And this is against a team who are in their second season of struggle. They are in their second season of struggle. After spending £1 billion, Poch is struggling. These players are struggling. The fan base is struggling. Everybody is struggling. Yeah. And United have not had an amazing season, but we've definitely had a better season than they have. 100%. in terms of in the Premier League. Let's not talk about champs, but in terms of the Premier League, we are like I think they are like are they in the bottom half? Are they 10th? We need these 3 points today. Absolutely, we 100% need these 3 points. Chelsea are 12th. They are in the bottom half of the table. There is 6 spots between us and them, albeit it's not a lot of points. It's only an 8-point difference, which is jokes. Like that's how crazy the table is this year. That the gaps between everybody is actually not that much. But United have to go and get through. They play good football. No, they don't. I went to go watch Chelsea. I took my sister to go watch Chelsea versus Newcastle. And if Newcastle never had so many injuries and they weren't playing like a very heavily rotated team, I think Newcastle could have got something. That game ended, I think it was 3-2. A lot of it was coming from Cole Palmer. But I can confidently say, and maybe you lot might disagree with me, that United have the better team. If we go man for man, Onana. By the way, let me give credit to Andre Onana, yeah, because I criticize when I criticize, and I'm gonna give him credit when I give him credit. Andre Onana has had a roller coaster of a season, but the last couple months he's really found his place just in the team and just being a better team member. He's really found that. He struggled early in the season, especially with the Champions League kind of performances, but respect him because he got Player of the Month for March. And I just feel like we ain't talking about him enough. And I've been heavily critical of him earlier in the season. But I'm happy for him, and I really hope he continues to perform well, and just kind of solidify his role as the starting goalkeeper and kind of justify why United kind of went out and brought him. So big up to him. But listen, guys, on paper, United should not be shying away from this fixture, because when you look at it, this is a team that's struggling. United are struggling, but United are not struggling to an extent that Chelsea are. They are not struggling to. I think United's biggest issue is I think it's the fatigue in game that impacts the way that Man United play. And the reason why I say that is that Ten Hag wants United to play a certain way, press a certain way, but because of that, United players are tired 30 minutes into the game because they've been doing it all week, I guess, during training, etc., etc. And on top of that, I think the biggest issue for United is that United press high, the wingers press the fullbacks, striker presses the goalkeeper and the centre back, the two midfielders press, and it just leaves a heap of space in midfield. Now, if Enzo Fernandez is on his job today, if that guy Conor Gallagher is ready to just run around for 100 minutes like he does all the time, it could be a problem in the midfield. But I'm not going to say that I'm completely worried, because I just know that Chelsea ain't got the minerals like that. And I don't know if that's me just underestimating Chelsea. I don't know, guys. Am I underestimating them? I think Sterling running at players that are fatigued, that are tired, that's scary. People are talking about Nicholas Jackson in the chat. Are you threatened by Nicholas Jackson? I'm not. And that's why when I see I've seen combined 11s like flying around the last couple of days, and I'm seeing people taking Nicholas Jackson over Rasmus Højlund. That's crazy. To me, that's crazy. But the biggest threat is Cole Palmer. Like, Cole Palmer is the biggest threat for Chelsea. He's, by the way, he's a baller. How do you not rate Nick? I don't know what it is. Maybe every time I watch him, he just has a stinker. So, like, when I saw him in the flesh, yeah, I saw him in real life. It was him, and then on the other side, I saw Isaac. And Isaac, he couldn't lace Isaac's boots. He couldn't, and maybe that's why I don't rate him, because when I went to watch Chelsea, Isaac was the striker on the other team, and I was just thinking, this guy is pants. But I don't know. I don't rate him like that. I don't rate Nicholas Jackson like that. I don't claim Jackson. I'm Senegalese. Big up to Kadeem, man. Shout out to Kadeem. But one thing I will say, like I said, is Cole Palmer is probably the biggest threat for them attacking wise. I think Cole Palmer is the biggest threat for them. I need everyone on job. I need everyone on job today. Rashford on job, Garnacho on job, whoever's playing, Kobe. I want to put the Kobe arguments to bed about he's overhyped, he's this, he's that. Today, Kobe is going up against a midfield that is worth 200+ million. yeah? And Kobe costs 0. I want to see Kobe proving to people, especially the people that have been undermining him and I'm talking about other fan bases that have been undermining him. I want to see him, shut people up. I want to see Amad Diallo get some playing time. And I'm saying that because by the time the game kicks off, we would have already opened our fast. So he ain't going to be on a hungry stomach. He might be maybe bloated if he eats too much when he breaks his fast. Or he might, get a stitch because he ate too much. But there's no reason Amad shouldn't play. To me, there is no reason why Amad Diallo should not be there playing, whether it's starting or maybe coming off the bench. I guess we can kind of debate that. But for me, Kobbie Mainoo has to start. My biggest worry is the defense. Like, my biggest concern is the defense. And I'm saying that because of these injuries. I don't even know who is even available for our matchday squad. Like, I don't even know what defenders are even available. I think Garnacho should rest and play Amad. I think so too. I don't even know who traveled. Where's the ITKs and all of that stuff? Anytime I coached a player on fast, their levels seem to go up. It's surprising. I interviewed Arnott Danjuma last year for an article about Ramadan, and he said to me, he was like, nothing changes. He was like, if anything, I play better. And I know a lot of people that say that they play better during Ramadan when they're fasting than when they're not fasting. Papi Cisse said the same thing. Who else? So many footballers say that. Look, Karim Benzema literally carried Real Madrid during Ramadan to the Champions League and then won it, and then won the Ballon d'Or after that. So it's actually interesting because us communers, I'm saying communers, but like us peasants, the ones that have normal jobs and are not athletes, I'm tired during Ramadan, guys. I'm tired because you're sleep deprived, you're food deprived, you're water deprived. But footballers, obviously, they got nutritionists, and I like the fact that nowadays clubs are becoming a bit more educated on the purpose of Ramadan and how to best support their players. So the medical team, the canteen staff, all of that stuff, they kind of create training programs for players that's a bit altered. And I think Sadio Mane mentioned this a couple years ago at Liverpool, where they used to train at 9 in the morning. They used to train at 9 in the morning during Ramadan, and Klopp pushed it back to like 11 in the morning to allow them to have a bit more sleep. And they just had who was the Muslims in the team then? It was Salah and Mane, I think, and Konate. Konate is Muslim as well. So clubs are now starting to know what to do. Manchester United women last year had a Muslim player, and they also changed her training regime and her nutrition and all of that kind of stuff to support that. And they give you like set stuff to eat at night, so they tell you what kind of stuff. And if you ever watch footballers nowadays on TikTok, they do day in the lives of a professional footballer that's fasting. That player Amir Ibragovic, I think that's his name. I might have mispronounced it. He plays for United's academy. He did one, and footballers eat the same stuff that other people eat: porridge, dates, bananas. They have electrolytes in their water. They might have that kind of stuff, and that's how they get through the day. My biggest respect, I'm not gonna lie, my biggest respect goes to players who play whilst they're fasting for 3 p.m. kickoffs. That's probably the hardest game to play. Like, if I'm being honest, that the 3 p.m. kickoffs are probably the hardest one, because that's in the middle of the day. The sun is probably at its highest at that point. That's when you probably have the lowest energy. Like 12:30 kickoffs is probably the best to play if you're fasting, because that's earlier in the day. That's when you have the most energy. You're probably better rested, etc. Whereas by 3 p.m., most people I know, like me, by the time it gets to 5 p.m., I'm exhausted. Like, I'm counting down the clock. But it'll be interesting to see what happens today, especially like with Amad Diallo, etc. Let me go through the comments. Big up to everyone. Salah on Ramadan is insane. Listen, there's not a Muslim player that does not pop off during Ramadan. Like, there is not. Kurt Zuma scored the other day That guy barely scores, but he be scoring in Ramadan. I think Arnett Danjuma said to me that he scored the most goals in Ramadan in a season. So every season, like this is before he went to Everton. So I think he was talking about at Bournemouth and Villarreal. That's when he scored the most, was during Ramadan for some reason. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Mina, your thoughts on the Gallagher situation? Why are English media so bored with their lives? English media are losers. Like, they need to touch grass. I saw an article today of Harry Maguire and Rasmus Højlund, who apparently went out to have breakfast and they got parking tickets. And there's pictures of them taking the parking tickets off their car. What? Let the people live their life. Why are you following them to have when they're going to have breakfast? Why are you following them when they are going to have breakfast? And why are you camping out of wherever they've had breakfast to take pictures of them when they get a parking ticket? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like English media are so obsessed. Even with the Gallagher thing, I saw it. I was just like, it's not my business. It is not my business at all. I honestly don't have an opinion. Like, I can't really say that I've got like a proper opinion on the Gallagher thing. I saw the video, but I didn't think anything of it. But also, I don't care enough because I'm not a Chelsea fan. And I think people sometimes just want to one-up Chelsea fans in terms of that kind of stuff. But let me find some extra. Let's go with the lineup. Let's go with the lineup. You lot heard Austin here. You lot heard Austin. Don't go anywhere, chat. After this live stream, go watch the vlog. Go watch the vlog behind the scenes at the Women's Champions League game at St. George's Park. Millie Turner, Manchester United player, makes an appearance in the vlog as well. I still need to put out another TikTok that I've edited of me and her. So be sure to go check out that vlog. Big up to everyone as well. If you want to join them, I always forget to plug memberships, guys. If you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. Of course, you get to support the growth of the channel as always. If you want to send in super chats, you can. If you're enjoying the content, if you're appreciating the content, that supports the channel as well and the growth that is happening here. And you can just subscribe. You can just subscribe. Is that one is more easier. But let's get through the lineup today for Manchester United. For me, I mean, I'm saying for me, but United don't really have options in defense. So it's going to be Maguire and Johnny Evans. It's going to be Maguire, Johnny Evans. Can I just say, Wan-Bissaka was so disappointing on the weekend. I really hope he watched his performance and said to himself, I can't play like that again. And when I say disappointing, I don't mean he was crap. I just mean that he has not still United. I guess maybe he's been so focused on improving going forward and his like attacking game that he thought, let me not improve my positional awareness, because his positional awareness has not always been good. It's been bad. But it seems like that has just been neglected a little bit. That has been a little bit neglected. And he's been so focused on his dribbling and getting forward, all of that kind of stuff. And he stunk up the pitch on the weekend, sorry. So if he plays today, I hope he does better. If he is playing, I hope he plays right back, because I one thing I don't understand is if Dalot is more natural than him at playing left back, play Dalot at left back. Why are you insisting on playing him at left back? I'm talking about Wan-Bissaka, when Wan-Bissaka is evidently a right back, whereas Dalot can play both. We've seen him play both. He played both. He played left back before he joined United. So I would prefer to see that if the option is there, I would prefer for him to play at left back. I'm talking about Dalot. And I'd rather Wan-Bissaka play at right back. Of course, it's going to be Maguire and Johnny Evans. But it's the midfield for me that's the most interesting part. Who's Ten Hag going to start in the middle? Who is he going to start in the middle? I'm trying to think who he will start. Kobe has to start. But it's a matter of who will start with him as a partner in the middle. Will it be McTominay that starts again? Where he's going to stink up the place. Casemiro's out injured. I think Casemiro's out injured. Will Eriksen start? Eriksen's a player that's not had a lot of playing time over the last couple couple months. And can I just say that in a game where if you want to have control of possession, it just makes sense to have Eriksen in midfield. But the thought of Kobe have to play 6, I don't want Kobe to play 6. He can do it, but I don't want him to. And I don't want Eriksen to play 6. And I don't want Bruno to play 6. So if they play a double pivot, which will probably be the case, if it's a double pivot, then it will probably be Kobe and McTominay. Unfortunately, like, I don't want to say it. When I say what is going to be the lineup, I'm not saying what I want the lineup to be. I'm saying what I think the lineup will be. I think the lineup will have Scott McTominay. I mean, he scored twice against them a couple months ago. Well, it's not a couple months ago. It's like 4 months ago now. But he scored twice against them. You know who's not going to... You know who's... If I say this, he might actually score. Raheem Sterling has never scored against Manchester United. Can you believe that? He's never, ever scored against Manchester United. And I know right now, the relationship between Raheem Sterling and the fans is a bit rocky from what I've seen. They're not really feeling Raheem Sterling at the moment. But for me, Raheem Sterling is the biggest threat after Cole Palmer. The only thing I'll say is Raheem Sterling, sometimes his finishing product is not there. So he'll do a lot of right stuff. He'll dribble, all of that kind of stuff. He'll get past players, get into space. But it's that final pass that he'll play or that final shot that he'll take, and it's just not there. So after Cole Palmer, the biggest threat for me is Raheem Sterling. But the relationship that's going on right now between him and the fans, and even Poch, there's another player that plays for Chelsea. I forgot what his name is. But is it Madug? Oh my god, you lot are gonna get on to me for messing it up. Manduke, I think that's how you say it. Oh my god. Oh my days. W's in the chat for Riri, first and foremost. W's in the chat. Riri is moving like the Nubian prince. Maybe Nubian Pharaoh is Riri. Maybe Nubian Pharaoh is Riri. Big up to Riri with a big super chat, huge super chat, saying, yo, Mina, big up for the content you put out. I love seeing the women's side of the sport being represented and talked about. It's only going to get better from here. Kobe, Mount, Bruno are in the middle today. Big up to Riri for that big super chat. Moving. Listen, man, I might have to start saying that Nubian Pharaoh is Riri. I might start that rumor. Because I know people at UV are trying to figure out who's Nubian Pharaoh, which actually I ain't seen him in a minute. I wonder if he's still around. But big up to Riri. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm not Niger, yo. I'm Ghanese. Okay, Nubian Pharaoh is not Riri. Sorry, guys. We've just confirmed it. But big up to Riri for the super chat and the contribution. That's huge, man. That's massive. I appreciate it so much. And I appreciate the support all the time, whether it's the reels on Instagram, the TikToks, the shorts. I'm trying to be more consistent with it. And I appreciate that it's being received so well by everyone as well, because I'm enjoying it as well. I'm enjoying it. Next step is to get a footballer to play football with me. That's the next step. So that's going to come soon, but baby steps. Big up to Riri as well. Mount, Bruno, Kobe, I wouldn't be against it. But sometimes I feel like Erik Ten Hag is so unpredictable. Sometimes he's predictable, and sometimes he's so unpredictable. 1080p sorted. Guys, I had to invest in it. You lot shamed me so much, yeah, for having 720p that I went and I'm paying a £45 subscription every month. Yeah, I'm paying a £45 subscription for 1080p, and I just have to make that back every month. So as long as the return on investment is working, then I'm not regretting it. Plus, it does make my streams look a lot better. I'm not going to lie. My streams are looking a lot better with 1080p. So thank you for shaming me into doing so. But back to the front line. I think the front line is kind of sorted for itself. I'd like to think that the front line is kind of sorted for itself. That is going to be Marcus Rashford. It's going to be Rasmus Højlund. And it's going to be Garnacho. I would like to see Garnacho get some rest, because sometimes I feel like he does look tired and he's not as explosive, and he's still young. I think he's played some of the most minutes. I think he's played some of the most minutes as well. But when I say the most minutes, I'm talking about people his age in the league. how old is he? He's 18. He's 19. So his age group, I think he's played some of the most minutes in Europe, not just his age, but in Europe as well. I am worried about sometimes he does look like he's tired, and I think it was the Liverpool game where that guy ran his socks off. He ran his socks off to literally, I was shocked. I was amazed. But I would like to see Ahmad play. I would really like to see Ahmad play, especially with the spaces that will be available from Chelsea's end and the little pockets of space. I know Ten Hag is probably going to set United up in a way to get the balls in behind, Rashford, Garnacho running behind. But I would like to see United dominate possession, hold on to possession, and find the little pockets of space that they can utilize. And Amad Diallo would be perfect for that, especially if Bruno plays and if Mount plays and Ahmad plays. That is a possession type team. Rasmus Højlund with the hold up, wallahi, that could work. That could easily work. Whether Erik Ten Hag will do it, that's kind of like a different conversation. I feel like Erik Ten Hag right now is just in survival mode. I think he's just putting out the teams that has worked, the players that has worked, without having to change anything unless he has to, i.e. because of injuries. And right now he's just trying to get the points where he can get them and get the results however he can get them. I don't think Erik Ten Hag is really fussed about the style of play. I'm talking about the tidy I'm talking about like the tidy type of football, possession based, or I don't think he cares about that right now. Right now it's survival mode. New FFP news is so trash. Why are they trying to ruin the Premier League? This is what I don't understand. I'm going to pull up the article now because I didn't want to talk about it, but seeing as it's been mentioned in the chat, they are wallahi, like they are trying to ruin the sport. First it was the blue cards, and first they brought VAR. Yeah, first they brought in VAR. Then they tried to do the whole blue cards thing that kind of got turned away. And now it's this new form of profit and sustainability that is stupid. So if you haven't heard of it, the Premier League are considering a huge change in FFP that would result in FFP points deductions, which would impact teams. Now, what they're trying to do is approach it in a salary cap format, or luxury tax is called. If you watch the NBA, if you're familiar with the NBA and the way that it works, in the NBA, they have a similar thing. They're considering getting rid of points deduction when it comes to punishments of FFP, and they want to introduce something called luxury tax, which actually exists in the NBA. And that is just a reform that they would have to have at least 17 clubs that vote in favor of it. And one of the options being discussed would be that clubs that overspend are given a financial punishment that will increase the more they spend. So you can still spend money. You can spend today 500 million in a transfer window and you'll probably get fined for it. But it's okay because you can just pay your fine. What the hell? Why? The fees then collected. By the way, when you pay the fees, i.e. when you are charged for going over this cap, it would be distributed to the clubs who complied with the rules, or it would go into an emergency fund to help the Football League clubs that are in financial danger. What the hell? So now the Premier League and the FA and just English football in general, because of their own shortcomings when it has come to the way that they have treated the Football League clubs that are in financial turmoil, they've allowed clubs like Ridden to go to crap and all of that stuff. Yeah, because of that and their inability to properly, I will say, properly address when EFL clubs are being approached to be brought, etc. They are now saying that, oh, don't worry, you guys can survive. Clubs like Reading, etc., can survive, even though your owner is crap and we allowed him to buy you guys. You guys can still survive because we are just going to take the money off the teams in the Premier League. But the teams in the Premier League will pay. Say you spend 500 million, guys, in a transfer window. As a result, you go over your FFP by a couple hundred million. Yeah, you get a little slap on the wrist. Big clubs will be able to pay that. Teams like City, that's nothing. They will just fake another sponsorship deal and they'll have the money to pay it off. They'll have the money to pay it off, and then that money will be given to teams in the Premier League, rewarding them for staying within the means of the new rule. Now, I don't understand, if you are going to reward clubs for obeying the rules that you've created, the money should be coming out of your pocket. It shouldn't be coming out of the money. It should be coming from the other clubs within the league. It's just ridiculous. This is a thing in so the luxury tax thing is a thing in the NBA. But for me, it just doesn't make sense. For me, I say this all the time, I don't know why they are trying to Americanize sport here when it works over there. It doesn't mean it will work over here. For example, yeah, one thing that works in American football, I'm saying football, i.e. soccer, yeah, in the women's league, there's drafts, because that works over there, because they've got a college system where players can come from college. And this is applicable in basketball and in NFL and all of that as well. But if I'm talking about specifically the American WSL, that works. I'm not now coming here to the UK and saying we should have a draft system where teams can come from, players can come, from college, etc., university, and declare themselves for the draft, and teams get to pick from that. No, because over here, they have an academy system that works. My point is if it works in one country, it doesn't mean it's going to work in another one. And we shouldn't do that. Maybe they should find other ways. Maybe they should find other ways to stop teams like City from cheating. Maybe they should do that. Anyways, they then further into this kind of new introduction that they're kind of trying to gauge the market with is the form of the salary cap, which I mentioned as well, which relates directly to the wage bill of the team. So another option, it says in this article, is said to be anchoring, where a form of salary cap related directly to the wage bill of the team who finished bottom of the Premier League, or a change to bring rules more in line with UEFA's spending limits, such as wages, transfers, and agent fees, to the 70% of the club's revenue. So they want to make it in line with whatever so i.e. you can't give it, like a team like, I don't know, Palace can't give Zaha or someone that plays for Elise, etc., can't give them a big wage to keep a hold of them if they're not making a certain amount of revenue. But wouldn't that just work in the favor of the teams that have a lot of revenue? Teams like Manchester United, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, teams that are dominating the revenue because they get the big shares, they get the big slices when it comes to broadcasting rights. You know, they get the big revenue when it comes to that. They get the revenue from, you know, being in the big competitions like Champions League, all of that. So they'll be able to give out big wages to players. But wouldn't that just penalize the smaller teams that don't have European football, that might not have big sponsorship deals like the big six do? They won't be able to give the wages that they feel like they adequately could give to players to keep a hold of them, because then they'd be hit with a salary cap. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Stop trying to Americanize the sport, because instead of you guys to focus on things that are not working, like VAR and the shortcomings of VAR and officiating, because the officiating in the Premier League is probably the worst out of all of the big five leagues. And let me not be harsh. It's inconsistent. But instead of focusing on that, they've just occupied themselves with something else. And I'll be real, I don't think this is going to happen, but I do think, like, UEFA ruined Champions League. Champions League was ruined the day they took away goals. Can I just say that? They ruined the Champions League when they took away goals, because now teams go away and they just try to hold out for a draw. They don't even try attack and get goals. Wallahi, the best Champions League games were the ones where teams had to go away and get a result and then try to get something at home too. But now they just try to hold out for a draw away from home and then try to get the business done. And they've ruined it. UEFA ruined it. I'm not looking forward to the Champions League. Like, who the hell wants to watch a league format of Champions League football? Who the hell wants to watch that? Not me, but I'm still going to watch it, of course. I'm going to complain, but I'm still going to watch it, guys. Like most of us. Anyone seen Marcus Rashford's brother's tweet responding to the overlap where they're talking about Rashford? No, I haven't. Let me check. I don't even know what is his name. I don't even know what his. Oh, here he is. He said, "I completely understand how they work, but if you have genuine concerns, pick up the phone. We know each other or cross paths. Airing so-called concerns for the public to have an opinion is bad mind and for clickbait in my eyes. The fun fact is that most of these shows or ex-pros have asked for exclusives." Bruv, just shut up. Just shut up. Just shush. That is, by the way, on Marcus Rashford's brother's Instagram. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. Marcus Rashford's brother on Instagram said, and if you haven't watched it, Rio Ferdinand was on the recent episode of The Overlap, and they were talking about, there's a segment about Marcus Rashford on there. Him and Gary Neville were talking about how they're concerned about him. But anyway, I completely understand. This is what he said. "I completely understand podcasts and how they work. But if you have genuine concerns, pick up the phone. We know each other or have crossed paths. Airing so-called concerns for the public to have an opinion is bad mind and for clickbait in my eyes. The fun fact is that most of these shows or ex-pros have asked for exclusives." They didn't say anything bad. They didn't say anything bad. Can I just say that? I added the shush. Yeah, sorry. He didn't say the shush part. I was just saying shush, shush, shush. Because I'm just sick and tired of this stuff, guys. Am I the only person that's tired of this kind of stuff? Like, The Overlap is a weekly show. They will talk about everything. And today, if they criticize Saka, is Saka's brother going to come out and post something? No, they won't. Why is it Marcus Rashford's PR team or the people around him just always have to clap back or say something, make a statement? You know what would have been a good statement? You know what will be a good statement? If he goes out and scores today and gets an assist and has a good performance, that can be your clap back. Then I don't mind if you go into the crowd and start going like this or taunting people, all of that stuff. I don't care how you celebrate. It wouldn't bother me. It would not bother me. But the fact that it's 3 hours before a game and your brother's coming out basically firing shots back at The Overlap, to me, it's just a bit unnecessary. It's just a bit unnecessary. That's all. There is 100, and no, Rashford's brother wasn't complaining when he was sitting down with the Players' Tribune doing a whole heartfelt interview. Rashford's brother didn't complain about that. He didn't say nothing. Furthermore, his brother is in the video. If you guys watch the video of the Players' Tribune, and there's a little part where it's like his whole family there, some of them in Man United. His brother's there. Bro, you weren't complaining when your brother was sitting down doing interviews in the middle of the season when United are already having a crap season to defend his honor and to defend his legacy and to defend his name. You weren't complaining. But now you're complaining because ex-professional players who have a show and your brother is the topic of discussion in one little segment because A, some of the players on the show are ex-United players, and B, your brother is a topic of discussion this season. That's it. Sometimes I just don't see. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm a bit different in it with my opinion when it comes to that. But I just don't think it should be something that I don't think what they said was wrong, by the way. I think Rio Ferdinand compared it to when he left West Ham to go to Leeds at a pivotal point of his career, basically. And he was basically just saying, like, you know, this is an important part of his career where he's not a kid anymore. He's not a youth player that's got the time on his side. He's been here for a long time and he's kind of going downhill. So what they said wasn't necessarily wrong. I don't think so anyway. I don't think it was necessarily wrong. But for him to feel some type of way, and maybe his brother's putting this out for his own opinion because he's saying some of these ex-players. Is he trying to say Rio has asked for exclusives? Is he trying to say Gary Neville's asked for exclusives? Roy Keane, who is he saying some of these ex-pros have asked for exclusives before? What is he? Maybe there's a whole nother thing there, but I'm not going to get too into it. Because that's I'll say paper talk, as I like to call it. That kind of stuff is paper talk. Now, predictions. Let's get predictions out of the way. I'm going to say, I think it might be like a 1-1, you know. I think it might be like a 1-1. And I'm just seeing I'm trying to think, guys. I'm seeing a crap game. I'm thinking of a boring game ahead. I'm seeing a boring game ahead. But I would like United to win. By the way, me saying that it's going to be 1-1 is not me saying that I want it to be 1-1. I've said nothing less than 3 points. You know what? Just for that, I'm going to say United 2-1 because I'm contradicting myself. I'm contradicting myself if I say United have to get 3 points and then I predict a draw. I'm saying 2-1. Furthermore, I'm going to even say 2-0. I'm going to say 2-0. I'm going to say Chelsea ain't gonna stand a chance in front of goal. Yeah, I'm going to say United are going to be all over them. They're going to pepper them. They're going to be all over them, dominating possession. United are going to have like 67% possession, yeah, with 30 shots on goal. United are going to have 30 shots on goal. That's it. I'm gonna be delusional with it. Because let's be real, actually, we played them off the park last game. We could have beat them 4-5-0. Even though that was Old Trafford. But I'm sticking with it because there's no way United should be threatened by a team that have been struggling for the second season in a row. I'm sorry, but if United today go out and struggle, then we got a big problem for the rest of the season. Like, as if we haven't had problems throughout the season. But we got a big problem ahead of us. If we cannot go and comfortably win against Chelsea. Because Chelsea, to me, is not a team like, you know, I'll be honest, Chelsea is not a team like Fulham or Brentford where you have to kind of be a bit your head screwed on and you know you gotta take every chance when it comes because Fulham and Brentford might just punish you randomly. Chelsea, for me, I actually think they are in the mud. They are in the mud. And I respect Chelsea fans because if United ever end up in that position, yeah, after spending $1 billion and struggling that much, you lot might see me sitting here on stream crying. Like, you might actually see tears coming out my eyes because I don't know how Chelsea content creators do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do the watch-alongs. I don't know how they do, streams. I would never show my face if United ever end up in that position. Like, if I was a content creator and if I was doing what I'm doing now back, like, when it was the Moyes era, yeah, I was quite young then, so I wouldn't have. But if I was doing it back then, well, like, guys, I would have been just sitting on streams, like, mute. I wouldn't be saying anything because I would just be stressed. Honestly, Dan Sheldon from The Athletic tweeted about United. I know, I can see it right here. Apparently, United intend to recruit a chief business officer to report into their incoming CEO. The new hire would be responsible for the club's commercial-related activity and will sit alongside Dan Ashworth. Why are they just reporting everything with United's like this is how you know United have been deprived of just basic employees, because United not having a chief business officer is nuts. That is crazy because United is a business. How can you not have a chief? It's like saying I'm not gonna have a CFO. I'm not gonna have a CFO. Come on, like, that is very unrealistic. That is very unrealistic. But United also don't even have a fitness. Well, they ain't got a fitness team, a fitness coach. So that needs to change as well. But let's 2-0 Chelsea. Anybody in the chat predicting a loss or predicting a draw, I'm gonna ban you from the channel for 24 hours. I'm gonna ban you from the channel for 24 hours. I'm joking. I won't ban you, but I'll be looking at you a bit sideways. This is the energy I'm trying to see. 3 points guaranteed. 3 points guaranteed. We should not be threatened about Chelsea. I'm just looking right now at it just came up on my feed on DR Sports of Flex and Matisse's combined 11, and I don't know how Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo has made it in. I'm not joking. Enzo Fernandez, I don't know how he's made it in. I don't know. Bruno Fernandes, Flex didn't fight hard enough because Bruno Fernandes at least deserves to be in this. He at least in this. No, on DR Sports, not on UV, but on DR Sports. This is what their combined 11 is. By the way, guys, is Onana in goal, Dalot at left back, Martinez at centre back. This is my thing with the combined 11, by the way. I think combined 11 should be based on the current players available. It shouldn't be based on players that have been out injured half the season, that have not played. It shouldn't be based on that because then that's pointless. Like, when I was doing combined 11, like Liverpool games, Salah was out. So Salah wasn't part of my combined 11 because he's not available. But anyways, Martinez, Varane, and Malo Gusto at right back. Kobe Mainoo, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. Cole Palmer at right wing, Højlund up top, and then Garnacho / they haven't agreed on, is that Nicholas Jackson? That's Nicholas Jackson, Garnacho is half. They haven't agreed. I don't know how Enzo Fernandez made that. I don't know how. And I actually might have to call Flex and be like, bro, what the hell? Like, what is Enzo Fernandez doing in this combined 11? Where is Bruno Fernandes? Anyways, you don't know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Big up to everybody in the chat. Listen, 3 points. United are getting 3 points tonight. There's nothing less than that. Nothing less than that. Simple as that. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I will be back when will I be back? I'll be back at 10 o'clock or 10:15 UK time after the game. We'll be here. We will be here live and direct. And if United do lose or we play bad, I will be here very, very embarrassed. Very, very embarrassed. But the good thing is I would have eaten by then, so I'll be a bit more energized. You guys know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Big up to everyone. Big up to Riri with the big super chat. And I will see you lot all later on. Come on, United, man. That's all I have to say. Come on, United. Nothing less than 3 points. I'm out, guys. Peace.